There's a moment every trader faces when the chart is still but your mind isn't, when you know exactly what you should do, yet something inside you hesitates. It's not your strategy that fails you, it's your state of mind. Because in trading, the hardest battle isn't with the market, it's with yourself. The pullback, the uncertainty, the hesitation, they're not signals of weakness, they're signals of being human. This isn't just another strategy video, this is a mirror for the trader within. Welcome to Mind Over Markets. And this is your one-page playbook trend pullback. They say the market doesn't lie, but the truth is the market doesn't care. What it does relentlessly is test you, not your knowledge, not your indicators, not your strategy, but your mind. Every chart, every candle, every pullback is a question the market asks you. Do you really believe in what you see? Or will fear answer first? A pullback is supposed to be simple. The trend moves, it breathes, it pauses. But in that pause, something happens inside you. Doubt whispers. Your conviction trembles. And before you know it, your plan is gone, replaced by impulse. You watch the chart start to turn. Green turns to red. Momentum slows. And that voice inside you, the one that promised patience, gets drowned out by a louder one, saying, "Get out," before it's too late. You exit. Your heart calms down. For a second, relief feels like victory. But then, as if mocking you, the trend resumes. Price climbs higher without you. And now the pain of missing out cuts deeper than the fear that made you run. Every trader knows that moment. The screen is quiet, but your mind isn't. It replays the scene again and again. You tell yourself you'll be stronger next time. But when the next pullback comes, the same loop plays out. Because it was never about the market. It was always about you. That's what most traders never realize. A pullback isn't just a technical event. It's a psychological mirror. It reveals who you are when uncertainty stares back. It shows whether you trust your process or your emotions. And most traders don't like what they see. You can read all the books, study every setup, memorize every candle pattern. But until you face the emotional waves of a real pullback, the fear, the hesitation, the disbelief, you'll never truly understand what trading demands of you. Because a pullback is not the market changing direction. It's the market asking a question. Can you stay calm when things stop looking perfect? Can you believe in your system when your mind screams to protect you? It's easy to follow a trend when it moves cleanly, when every entry feels obvious, when profit lines up with confidence. But trading isn't built in those moments. Trading mastery is forged in the pullbacks, in the pauses between chaos and clarity. Some traders think they need better entries, better indicators, better tools, but what they really need is better emotional calibration, the ability to sit in uncertainty without reacting, to feel fear and still follow the plan. You might think discipline is about rules. It's not. Discipline is emotional intelligence under pressure. It's the art of feeling every urge to exit and doing nothing because your plan says hold. It's the maturity to let discomfort exist without trying to escape it. Every pullback is an invitation to grow that muscle. And yet most traders avoid it. They crave control. They want certainty in a place built on probability. They want to predict what's next instead of managing who they are in the present. So the market teaches the lesson the hard way. You sell early. You buy back late. You promise change, but emotion wins again. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. Fear isn't the enemy. Attachment is. Attachment to being right. Attachment to profit. Attachment to comfort. The mind hates uncertainty. It equates pullbacks with danger loss threat. So it pushes you to act not to trade better, but to feel better. And that's why most traders fail. They make decisions not from analysis, but from anxiety. But here's the truth. Few talk about the best traders feel the same fear you do. The difference is they've trained their minds to interpret that fear differently. They don't see a pullback as a threat. They see it as feedback, a reminder that every trend breathes, every market needs space to move, and that patience isn't waiting, it's believing. Imagine this. You're watching a cleanup trend. Price pulls back to a key level. You feel your stomach tighten, the memory of past reversals echoes in your chest. But this time, you breathe. You look at your plan, your notes, your system. You remind yourself, I don't trade my emotions. I trade my edge. And in that moment, you've already won, not in money, but in mastery. Because you've turned the battlefield inward and you've chosen calm over chaos. Trading is never about predicting markets. It's about predicting yourself, knowing how your mind reacts to fear, to loss, to uncertainty, and building a process that protects you from you. That's what this one-page playbook is really about. Not just where to enter or exit, but how to think, feel, and act when the market tests your resolve, because the real trend isn't on the chart. It's inside your mind. And if you can align that internal trend, calm, focused, patient, then every pullback becomes an opportunity, not a punishment. You see, most traders chase signals, but the elite traders chase states, emotional states, mental clarity, self-awareness. They know that the market rewards those who can stay balanced when everyone else breaks. So the next time you see a pullback forming, pause, not to analyze, but to observe yourself. What are you feeling? What are you fearing? Because that's the real data that decides your result. The chart shows price. Your mind shows truth. And until you can read both, you'll always misinterpret the market's language. This is the beginning of the playbook, the moment you stop fighting the market and start understanding the mind that trades it. You can study every strategy under the sun, but at the end of the day, the chart only asks one question. Can you follow one page when your mind wants to run in 100 directions? The one-page playbook isn't about prediction. It's about preparation. It's the anchor you hold when the market starts pulling you into chaos. Because in the heat of the moment, your brain doesn't reach for logic, it reaches for safety. And safety rarely looks like discipline. So here's what that single page should contain. 4 lines that decide whether you trade from clarity or confusion. First, the structure. Where are you in the market story? Are you in expansion where price moves with conviction, or in pullback where emotion disguises opportunity as danger? Most traders never define the chapter they're in, so they react to every line as if it's the climax. When you know the structure, you stop fighting the narrative. You stop screaming at the chart to move faster. You accept that the market breathes and that breathing isn't a reversal, it's rhythm. Second, the zone. Every pullback needs space, and every trader needs patience to let it form. Define the zone before you trade, not while price is cutting through candles, but when your mind is still calm. Because when you define your zone in peace, you remove your emotions from the battlefield. That's what professionals do. They don't look for perfect entries. They look for predefined reactions. They know where they'll act long before price gets there. Third, the trigger. Not a feeling, not a hunch. A clear objective signal that tells you the pullback is ending, that the crowd's fear has reached its limit. Maybe it's a wick rejection. Maybe it's a shift in volume. A structure break, a simple pattern you've tested 100 times. Whatever it is, it must be yours, not borrowed from a form, not copied from a guru. Because confidence doesn't come from accuracy. It comes from ownership. And then the most important line on that page mindset reminder, a single sentence that recalibrates your emotions before you click anything. Something like, I don't need to know what happens next. I just need to execute what I've prepared. That line is your compass. When fear rises, read it. When greed whispers, read it again, because no chart can save you from yourself, but a reminder can interrupt the spiral. Now let's go deeper. Why does this simple framework work? Because it bypasses the chaos of the limbic brain. When uncertainty hits the amygdala, floods you with emotion, your body prepares for danger, not data. Heart rate up, breathing, shallow logic offline. And in that moment, your trading edge disappears. You're no longer analyzing, you're surviving. The one-page playbook is a way to preload decisions before emotion arrives. It tells your brain the work is already done. You just follow it. That's how you trade from response, not reaction. Think about pilots. When turbulence hits, they don't invent a plan midair. They follow checklists. They trust procedures written when the sky was calm. That's what this playbook is for, to give you clarity when emotion clouds your vision. Because pullbacks don't destroy accounts. Panic does. Impatience does. Overconfidence does. And those are all products of a mind that refuses to slow down. So next time price pulls against you, don't rush to fix it. Breathe. Ask yourself, what phase am I in? If you can answer that half the battle is over, then ask, has my zone been reached? Has my trigger confirmed? If not, there's nothing to do. Doing nothing is a trade. It's the hardest trade, but it's the one that separates professionals from performers. See, your goal is not to eliminate emotion. That's impossible. Your goal is to regulate it, to let it exist without dictating behavior. That's what mental toughness really means. Every trader wants certainty, but the masters learn to love ambiguity. They don't demand the market to behave. They adjust their state to match it. They understand that peace is a performance enhancer. So the next time you see a red candle against your position, don't see it as threat. See it as a reminder the market breathes, and so should you. You can't control how deep the pullback goes. You can only control how deep you fall into your own emotions. And the more you practice this awareness, the more you realize trading isn't about forecasting trends. It's about managing your nervous system inside those trends. Your breath is your stop loss for panic. Your plan is your stop loss for ego. And your one-page playbook is the bridge between both. This is why consistency feels spiritual to experienced traders, because it's not about winning, it's about harmony. When your inner state aligns with your external method, you stop chasing trades and trades start finding you. There's a quiet confidence in that space. No rush, no FOMO, no anger at the chart, just presence. The market moves and you move with it. The pullback comes and you breathe through it. Because now you understand it's not punishment, it's participation. And in that stillness, something shifts. You realize the pullback is not the pause before continuation. It is the continuation. It's the proof that trends survive pressure just like you. So keep that page close. Structure, zone, trigger, mindset. 4 lines that bring order to chaos. A compass for the storms ahead, and a mirror for the mind within. There's a moment in every pullback where logic fades and emotion takes the wheel. You tell yourself you're being rational, but deep down you're just negotiating with fear. The first phase begins quietly. The chart starts to pull away from your entry. At first you shrug. It's just a small correction, you say. But underneath tension builds. The human mind hates uncertainty, and every tick against you is a reminder that you're not in control. Then comes the second phase, doubt. The candles keep falling, and your brain starts whispering, what if this is the reversal? What if you're wrong again? Your confidence shrinks. You look for confirmation, scrolling social media, watching other traders, checking every opinion that could justify your fear. But every voice adds more noise, not clarity. You're no longer trading your plan. You're trading your emotions. The third phase is fear. Your heart races. You start doing math in your head, not analysis, but survival math. How much am I down? What if I just exit now? Maybe I can re-enter later. In that moment, you're not managing risk. You're managing anxiety. And anxiety doesn't care about probabilities. It only cares about comfort. Then comes the fourth phase, regret. You exit, you breathe, and you feel relief. For a moment, you think you made the right choice. But then the chart turns, the pullback ends. Price resumes its climb, and you're left staring at the screen, watching profit drift away like smoke. You feel it in your chest, that deep, familiar ache of knowing you didn't fail the market. You failed your own mind. And finally, the fifth phase, rationalization. You tell yourself, it's okay, I'll catch the next one. But deep down, something inside starts to erode trust. Trust in your system. Trust in your plan. And without trust, no amount of strategy will save you. This is the real game, not price, not patterns. It's psychological endurance, because every trader faces these same emotions, but only a few ever learn to transform them. So how do you do it? How do you hold still when every part of you wants to run? The first tool, pre-trade visualization. Before you ever click buy or sell, close your eyes and imagine the worst-case scenario. See the pullback, feel the discomfort, hear the voice that tells you to quit, and then in your mind practice staying calm. Breathe through it. Let it happen in your imagination so it doesn't shock you in reality. Because a mind that has rehearsed fear can recognize it without obeying it. The second tool, journaling emotion. After every session, write down what you felt. Not the numbers, not just the trades, the feelings. Where did your heartbeat spike? What made you exit too soon? What thought made you hesitate? Your emotional journal is more valuable than your trading log because patterns and behavior lead to breakthroughs in performance. And the third, the checklist of self-awareness. Before each trade, ask 3 questions. Am I calm? Am I clear? Am I certain of my process? Or am I chasing comfort? If you can't answer yes to those, step back. Because no strategy can override a mind in turmoil. Trading doesn't reward intelligence. It rewards regulation. The ability to stay in control when everything else loses balance. That's the real alpha. Not a secret setup, not a hidden indicator, but the nervous system of a trader who refuses to panic. The irony is this: most traders think they need more information, but what they really need is more silence, more space between thought and action, more awareness of the inner dialogue that drives their decisions. The most powerful traders don't conquer the market. They dissolve their need to conquer. They stop trying to force certainty from chaos, and instead they learn to dance with it. When you reach that point, a pullback doesn't scare you anymore. You start to see it for what it is, a natural exhale in the rhythm of the market. You stop reacting to red candles like warnings and start reading them like chapters. Because now you understand the full story. The market is a mirror. It reflects your beliefs about control, risk, and worth. If you fear loss, you'll manifest it. If you crave validation, you'll chase it until it breaks you. But if you learn to sit with discomfort, to breathe, to observe, to trust, the market begins to reward you in silence. There's no applause for patience, no trophy for restraint, but those quiet victories compound. Every time you follow your playbook instead of your panic, you grow stronger, not in skill and spirit. Eventually, you realize trading was never about the market at all. It was about self-awareness disguised as finance, a battlefield where ego and discipline fight for control, and only one survives long enough to build wealth. You see, most people chase strategies to feel safe, but safety doesn't come from strategy. It comes from surrender. The kind of surrender that says, I don't control the market. I control myself. That's when everything changes. Pullbacks become pauses. losses become lessons, and wins become whispers of confirmation that you're evolving. So the next time you sit in front of your screen, remember you're not here to predict. You're here to practice presence. You're here to master patience. You're here to execute one page perfectly, repeatedly, relentlessly, until it becomes who you are. The market is infinite. Your attention is not. So direct it inward, because when the mind is steady, the trend is clear. And when the heart is calm, every pullback feels like part of the plan. This is your one-page playbook, not a strategy on paper, a philosophy in motion. Structure, zone, trigger, mindset. Simple words that hold the power to rebuild your relationship with the market and with yourself. In the end, trading isn't about getting rich. It's about getting real. Real with your fears, real with your habits, real with your mind. Because once you master that, money becomes a side effect, and peace becomes the trend you never want to end. You've heard enough strategies. You've studied enough charts. But if you truly want mastery, you must learn to master your inner landscape. Because the chart doesn't test your system, it tests your soul. When you breathe through fear, when you act through clarity, when you trust your process more than your emotions, that's when you stop chasing certainty and start becoming it. Trading isn't about predicting what comes next. It's about knowing who you'll be when it comes. So take your one-page playbook, keep it close, read it not with your eyes but with your awareness, structure, zone, trigger, mindset, simple lines that lead you back to discipline, to peace, to truth. Because in the end, the market rewards one thing, not brilliance, not luck, but balance. And when you find that balance, you'll realize the real profit was never in the trade. It was in the transformation. This is mind over markets. Trade consciously. Live deliberately. And may every pullback bring you closer not to profit, but to peace.